Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for the invitation. Great that you took the time to have me come in.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was great too. I'm shocked. 2 hours. It's no problem.
Yeah, you drove in a long way, and thanks for coming. Thanks for making the trek all the way
It's
out
no
here.
way. It's no big deal. Like it was, I forget how many Ks on it. It was 100 and some odd Ks. It's nothing. Nothing to get here. It took 2 hours. It said 2 hours, 8 minutes. And it was. It was no problem at all. And I pretty well talked to realtors all the way along because this guy, no, this property got, I didn't even think. I thought it was dead. It didn't close because the guy wouldn't move. And now two offers have just blindly arrived, right? One's no conditions, another one is. And then the sibling is buying it maybe. So I don't know. Might be a $12,000 bonus, right?
That's
For
awesome.
Christmas. Can't complain.
Well,
And then
for anybody who doesn't know you, by the way, we're rolling. Just a heads
oh,
up.
are we? Oh, we're chatting. Oh, that's great. So tell me, I just need an update on when you leave, and tell me all about how you prepare yourself to go away. Like
Oh
this,
man,
this doesn't come with you. Do you have this at home in Costa Rica?
I take some of it. I
Oh, do you?
yeah, I take some of it. I take a couple of these tripods. I take my phones. I do take the Rode Wireless Go setup because it's just so small. I can just like easily pack it away. I don't take my Shure microphone because that one's kind of it's a kind of more intense microphone. I
Yeah,
bring like a simpler one for
gotcha.
YouTube and stuff like
Yes.
that. I don't bring the softbox. That thing's too big. So I rely on the natural light that I have to shoot. And I have a couple of small lights that are really basically it's this setup but like shrunk down massively. And I leave January 1st. So
Right, New Year's Day.
gotta get
Direct
out.
flight, 5 hours, right? Is it roughly five?
5.5, but you know what? You know what's nice about flying on New Year's Day? And we started doing that. I think we did this last year too.
That'd be fun, eh? And there's a whole bunch of fun people on board, I bet you, right? Eh,
Hungover
all,
people, yeah.
aha, all fun. And what airline flies there? Air Canada, I think, is
Air
one.
Canada, I think is what we're taking, but also I think Delta. I think Delta does it better, in my opinion. But we like flying on New Year's Day because then it gives us an excuse to not have to go out the night
No, and
before.
we don't go anywhere. We really like being at home now, which
this
is
is this is the only time I've drank even in the last I can't even remember, but this is all. See, for me, doing a podcast and having an Irish coffee, a little bit of scotch and a little bit of coffee in there, and just hanging out for a podcast, like this for me in the middle of the day, in the
yeah.
middle of the day
Oh
is
no,
the
this is
best.
just plenty in there, and it's so smooth too.
It is,
Very
isn't
nice
it?
scotch, eh? That hits a spot.
I
So
got this as a gift from Konstantin Polyakov, who is a buddy of mine from high school, but also an incredible mortgage broker who I do a lot of work with, and he comes on the podcast all the time. Super brilliant guy, and he got me this, and I've just been kind of waiting to kind of crack it open, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity because for those of you who don't know who Nelson Conroy is, I mean, like you're just like the most popular dude
I don't
within
know how
our.
I got that handle. That is weird. But anyway,
You
and,
are.
and that letter I got a date is framed.
Are you serious?
Positive. My wife couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it.
I wrote letters to you, Tom Story, Bill, and Paul Asante. That's it. Cause I figured I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna? I see these guys like once a year. They're industry giants. Am I gonna get them a gift where like if they're all like, you know, doing so well, they would just buy something themselves if they wanted it. So then I was talking with Bill, and he was like, you should really just write them a letter. They'd probably like that more. And I was like, okay. So I did it. And actually, I am preparing one for Rich. That one's a little spicier though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be poking at him a little bit.
that is wonderful. I we're down to two Cutcos. We're big Cutco fans,
Mm.
so we're down to two left because we had two already out of 25. So we had two on the side for other clients. Anyway, I wanted to bring them, but I thought, Alicia, are you going to reorder for the spring? I want to be ready for them. I don't want to just show someone a picture. We want to have the actual product. So I wish I had taken one for Bill because he's our Mac leader, and I've got Braden as my coach. I mean, I mean, it's just like one more guy. Let's add Wayne Gretzky to the lineup, and we're ready to go. Isn't that amazing? Isn't
Yeah,
that
they're
amazing, eh?
super special people.
Yeah, but thank you for that letter. No, it is. It's right up on. I have my Royal LePage Awards. Sometimes when we talk, we do a Zoom. You'll see them. I have them all behind me, and they're all
How
said.
long you been in the business now?
This will be 19 years in February. Coming up. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and of course the last five were just like hang on and grab the rope and hang on, and then I probably you noticed it too. Probably summer of 22, things really changed drastically. You knew it was kind of coming because we heard from Steve Koresh out in the West Coast, this is happening, this is happening. It seemed to happen out of the West. I don't know. Did you find the same?
I
That
find
the
it always happens there first. Whatever we
everything
see
out of
here.
the West? Do you
Yeah,
find that? Do
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think so because any new legislation that
yeah.
comes along, they get it first before we do, and then we're kind of watching them. I at least I'm always kind of keeping tabs on what's going on over there. You know, they did that the cool off period for resale and stuff like that. So I've been keeping my eye because I've noticed that it comes here after.
Yeah.
You know.
Now we had that Mark. How do you pronounce his last name? Lead the lawyer, the gentleman that does a lot of podcasts as well. Mark Weisler. Do you know that name?
No, I'm
No.
not
Anyway,
familiar.
he also he does mobile. He'll come to your home. His lawyers will come to your home.
Mm,
Anyway, he did a great podcast, and I was sharing. If I haven't given it to you, I'll give it to you because there's great slides on TRESSA
mm.
on what was going on. But the point I want to make is that cooling off period has been proposed here. Were you aware of it?
I was not.
So phase three, we're into phase two now with Tressa. Phase three means that this cooling off period could be coming in, which he said we're fighting. So it's in the slides. Remind me to send you that, and you'll see it in there.
So
Yeah.
you've been doing this for 19 years,
Yes.
and I mean, you are definitely the most like popular dude in the industry that I know and I was so grateful for you to come down and do the podcast
Oh
because I
no,
was
I
like,
was
man, you're
took
just
the
the coolest
invitation,
guy. Everyone's like,
and I
oh,
didn't know I was getting an extra bonus here too in the crowd.
with some whiskey.
I had no idea.
Well, if,
Smells so good.
might as well liquor up in the middle of the
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean? It's noon.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny because I got gifts from Alicia and a client, a really nice scotch, and I
Nice.
haven't broken into it now, but this is perfect.
What's your
But I'm not
favorite?
going to make a habit of it. You're not going to get me doing this every day now to figure it out. So,
What's your favorite scotch? Do you have?
you know what? I'm not a really scotch guy.
No?
I'm not. I'd have to check the labels. Now, if it was bourbon, that's a little different story.
Yeah.
I've got a whole load of different bourbons, and we actually use it to cook with too. We make a
Nice.
cake that's got a bourbon in it. Sometimes it's rum, but sometimes it's that. But I pretty well the red Shiraz that you've got. That's my drink of choice.
That's
You?
your drink, eh?
Yeah, is that your drink of choice?
I
Would it be a red wine, or are you a Scotch guy?
I'm both. I like red wine. I like scotch. There's a particular scotch that I like, and actually, you can't get it at the LCBO. It is, in fact, a duty-free exclusive item. You can only get it at duty-free,
Right.
and it's called Glen If you're ever at the airport, you're at duty-free, check out Glen. It is by far the best scotch I've ever had.
Can you text me that?
I
That'd be
absolutely
ideal
will.
especially for a client that is a real Scotch person. That would be great.
Oh, it's so
My
cool.
recollection, Glenfiddich was what Alicia gave me, which was
Mm.
nice. And I cracked it for a neighbor. While I think I was drinking wine at the time.
They have a Glenfiddich. They have a good oak cask. I think it's like an odd number. It's like a 14-year oak cask, um, specialty kind of thing that they did, and it is so smooth. It is so
Yeah,
nice because I don't like peaty scotch. Anything that's like peaty or anything like that, I'm not into. If
yeah,
it's too smoky, I kind of feel like I'm drinking something out of an ashtray. I don't like it.
yeah, yeah.
But you're in a totally, I guess just a segue, but you're in a completely different market. You're out in London.
Totally different. My market, Adam, if I tell you, I mean, the only thing I've never done in a major way is a farm and vacant farmland. I just give that because it's big. It's a big part of our industry in our area because we're surrounded by farmland. But I give it to experts, that deal with that. But everything else, we handle. And our town of 60,000, you can make a really good living just in that one community.
And that's
London's a
something
bonus, really. Sorry, go ahead.
that's it. That's what I've always thought because everybody out west who I know, you know, when I speak to, let's say, investors or just mom and pop who want to buy, another investment property that's like over and above their primary residence, everyone's looking for a cash flowing opportunity, and in Toronto that does not exist. You can't do it, but out there you can.
You can do all kinds. I was just speaking to a young man that just bought a, he was a Royal LePage guy, he's an EXP guy now. John Pallon, he's your age, just closed on a 30 unit place in Calgary. So what I said to him, I said, he can't find deals right now. So I said, what about Mark Ferris? He apparently, I don't know how it works, but I think he just brings a group of investors. Am I correct? Like it's
Correct,
just a
yeah.
mob of people and they buy that one unit, right?
In
They become
Florida.
all unit holders. And I guess
Yeah.
he's now in South Carolina, he said.
South Carolina
Yeah,
too.
he said Charleston when he was up on stage. That
Wow.
he's in, yeah, so I guess they're just combing the area for really good investments. Now, some of these he's bought are dilapidated old buildings and they've done the refurb on them and then they're like brand new and then they lease them out. So they control everything. They get the right tenants and they get the units are beautiful and ready to go.
And then they sell the building, I think, afterwards
I
too.
don't
And,
know.
and
I don't know. I didn't go that far,
I
but I,
spoke to him. I
oh,
found
did
out.
you, do you know him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know Mark.
Yeah.
Met Mark. Um, I met Mark actually in Barbados. We were at the chairman's retreat there,
Oh, right, right,
and that
right.
was back in, I want to say 2018 or yeah, probably 2018 or 2019. And I ran up to him because I was like, I was kind of like starstruck a bit because I was like, you don't know me, but like I know you, and
How was he?
I'm not trying to be creepy or anything, Mark, but like
I don't want to be creepy.
like what's their secret sauce, man? Because he's out in Barrie doing 1,700 transactions in a
I
year or
heard
something
that.
crazy.
Can you imagine? Like,
I
can you
can't.
imagine how big his administration would be to handle that?
I can't.
I
I
couldn't even imagine. I
no.
think our office is like 8,000 or something is what our
That's
office would
huge.
do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Holy
your broker, who I think, what's her name?
Vivian.
Yeah, she knows ours. They all know each other,
They all know
right?
each
Oh
other.
yeah, I'm sure that they all get together,
Oh, for sure.
and
For sure.
probably just like we do
Yeah.
with our RI specialty, like you,
Yeah.
they communicate
Yeah.
and probably do that on a
Yeah.
regular basis. I know Mark Rashad. Do you know him? That who owns virtually from Coburg right into Ottawa now, all the Royal LePage
I've
offices.
heard of him.
That's Tara and Tom's broker.
Yeah, out in Belleville, right?
They're wonderful. Did you get to meet them?
So
Have you met them, Tom?
I was very lucky to spend a lot of time with them, and it was actually because of the dinner that you invited me to the night before. And I met Tara and Tom, and we just hit it off. And I spent a
Aren't
lot
they?
of
Aren't they?
the best.
They're a solid. They're our best friends.
They're
There's
so
no
nice.
question how good they are,
They're
and
so
how
cool. They
yeah.
were like the night, and Tom and I spent a lot of time together, kind of chatting on. I think the second after the second day, we had dinner together and we were just chatting. He's super brilliant guy. I mean, he's working on some AI stuff that's really intense. So he's a coder too. He's really interesting. Um, no, thank you for inviting me to that dinner. By the way, that
And
was
I
like
felt bad because I brought my buddy Dallas with me, who's actually my competition. Can you believe it? Like he's huge competition, but he's a great guy. And here's what he did. Jamie's talking to him about coaching. He finally decided to make the call. And she's talking to him. He said, I'm going to make one call. And he actually called me, which was great. And I said, jump at it. You got to jump at it because I can't help you to grow any further than you are, but you need for your team and your wife, and you need the help. You need the Ravi Singhs. You need those people to help you along the way. And so he was with me. That's my point. And I felt bad. You arrived because you were a little later. And I thought, oh my God. But then Greg Holmes came in and he lights the room up. Like that guy, isn't he just amazing person?
yeah,
Isn't he a nice guy?
he
And he's a
does
nice guy for you to get to know too.
yeah, he's a really bright personality, like very, very just like yeah, he does light up a room. He's a
Yeah.
super sweet guy, and we really enjoyed chatting with them and with Julie and Ed as well, chatting with
Oh,
them.
aren't they super? The
Yeah.
only trouble I have with Ed is hearing him, understanding him because of that British accent. But we met them last year in Whistler. And here's how it went, Adam. I got to tell you this. Julie comes creeping in, like you could tell her shoulders were slumped. She thought, oh my God, look at all these people in this room. I happened to get up to get refresh my coffee, and I said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And she said, "Oh, I'm Julie. I got a chair for you. Do you want to join us?" And then she just opened right up. It was wonderful. So since then, she's met Tom and Tara, and we hang out with them when we see them. Really, really a good person, and she does a lot of business. You'd be shocked with the British. Like she's got that segment or that niche of British people in Calgary.
I asked her, how did you show up in Canada by yourself
Yeah,
and just start crushing it in real estate? And then she said, I was looking specifically for people from Great Britain who I could connect with. And then she started going back to the UK and doing kind of like speaking on panels for people who were moving and investing in Canada from there, things like that. I mean, so smart. What a tiny niche to be working.
and you would look at the person. You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't, because she doesn't come across like any kind of a big shot, does she? I mean, she's just unassuming. And he is her support. But which Tara, they're so lucky because Tom is there. Can you imagine? Tom is the focal point in that office. Picture Tom behind that desk. All the incoming calls for them, all the marketing, everything is done, and she's free to go out and do selling. That's all she has to worry about is selling. Just call him, Tom, fire up an offer for me. Isn't it a great relationship?
It's
Unbelievable.
having a good strong back end is absolutely key to a functioning business, and I'm so lucky now that I have just a gem, Sherry. I know you probably met her, but she's quiet, but she was
See
there and she
again,
was amazing.
unassuming person, right?
Yeah.
You don't know. And then she came in, and of course, we had a seat for her, you
She's a
know.
powerhouse of an admin. I mean, she really runs this show and it's so tight.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So I'm going to reverse this on you. I want you to give me some background that I'm not aware of. When you
Oh,
started, tell me a little bit about your history. Were you brought up in this part of the city? Were you in the Forest Hill area?
you're
Is
kind of
that?
taking me off guard here because normally when I have people,
Oh no,
I'm like peppering them, and now I'm getting peppered. Oh,
but
that's
I don't know
interesting.
these things. Can we talk about
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah, we can do whatever
Okay,
we
so
want.
tell me, because I was a rink rat at Forest Hill Arena. I was a rink rat. That's where I was.
Before
You know the
real
arena?
estate?
Do you not know Forest Hill Arena? That's where I was.
That's
Hmm?
so funny. So hold
Yes.
on. So you okay? I'll answer first, but then you got to go after that, and I want to know your whole story of like how you got into this
You run it
and
the way you
whatever.
want it. You do it the way you want it, but I have to know some background.
Okay, so
Okay.
here's my background. Before I was in real estate, I was a couple of things. So I was a music teacher primarily for many years. I was a private music teacher. I worked at two different music schools and privately for about 8 years. So I
Yeah.
did for a long time,
Yeah.
and I was really good at that. Then I ended up becoming, of all things, I ended up in 2015 starting a very small business with a buddy of mine as a cryptocurrency broker. And I was brokering crypto, which was super interesting. And back then it was really the Wild West. It still kind of is, but back then it was really the Wild
Oh,
West.
no regulation at all. Wow.
Nothing, nothing. And we started getting into a bit of trouble with matchstick men, basically. We were getting defrauded and things were happening. And, you know, at some point I kind of just said, you know, I don't know if this is so much for me. And I sold my half of the business to my former business partner. He's still a great friend of mine, and he actually comes to Costa Rica with us every year. We're always hanging out with him all winter. Great dude. He went on, continued with the business. Now he's a zillionaire. But I ended up just keeping everything. I'm still a big believer in the space, big believer in Bitcoin. It still kept all of it from back then. And I was buying Bitcoin back when it was uh, 2015 is probably $300 Canadian, something like that. So it was a long time ago. So that was kind of what I was doing then for a while. And then my former business partner in real estate, Adam, he was a good buddy of mine. We had traveled the world together. We were like backpacking through all kinds of areas in Europe and Asia and whatever. And he kind of said, I'm thinking of getting my license. My mom's bugging me to do that. Do you want to do that with me? and I had nothing going on, so I was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And so that was about 8 or 9 years ago, and we got our licenses. But then there was no IDX platforms, there were no Sync or KV Core or any of this stuff. None of that stuff existed, and we got our licenses, and we were working for his mom and his cousin, who later became our business partners. But at that time, we joined their team, and they kind of just said, well, you got to go out there and you got to knock on people's doors and see who wants to sell their home, and that's how you do this business. And when it gets too cold to do that, you're going to sit down, you're going to cold call out of telelist, and you're going to just crunch out 200 calls a day, and you're going to find out who's. And we didn't have any CRM. We had a spreadsheet, that we color coded and things like that, and we just pounded the pavement, and that's what we did, and that's how we learned, and it made our knives really, really sharp. Because when you grind it out like that at the beginning,
Yeah.
you gotta learn quick. You don't
Yes.
really have a choice.
Yes.
And so that's what we did. And I know because we were flyering in those areas as well, to kind of double down on the effort that we were doing for door knocking in
Yeah.
Richmond Hill. And so I know how many houses there are in each area because we were flyering it. So I did the calculation one day that in my first 2 years of real estate, Adam and I knocked on roughly 80,000 doors.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do people know that? I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we smashed it.
80,000 door.
Yeah, over about 2 year span. And we did well, and we built up the business organically, and and that was good. And then we grew, and eventually got to the point where we negotiated our way into a team leadership role with Adam's mom and his cousin at the time. And so now we had about, I mean, fast forward about a year later, we had about 15 agents, 2 full-time admin, and we were running some pretty good volume. We were doing about, I think, 200 deals a year. And so it grew really quickly, but feel like I feel like it happened too quickly for me. I think that there were some bad things that came from that as well.
Did there?
Is
Did
that
there?
is that it was I didn't build a team from scratch on my own. I was kind of just thrown into a position where once these people were my peers, now they're no longer that for me, right? As like I'm in a leadership position out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And because I was, a young buck there, and most of them were older than me a lot, and um, that was a rough transition. Like no one really respected me at first, right? And I had to build that trust
Right.
and that respect, and that was hard. And eventually happened, and we started with a lot of online lead gen, and we really worked up those systems. We had a full-time ISA running calls, booking appointments, and we had sync. We were running sync with some big numbers, and we ended up with thousands upon five-figure numbers of leads coming in and running through the system, and that's when I met Rich, and we were making okay money from it. It wasn't LRS numbers, but it was good. And that's when I met Rich, and I was all excited and really energetic about it. And I came up to him, and I said, Rich, there's I'm running the system, and we've got it down, and we've dialed in the knobs, and it's looking real good and everything. And this is something that's really good, and you should really know about this. As if Rich didn't already know about this. Of course, he knew all about it, but I was
Sure you
just
would.
a bit young, and I guess hungry, and just excited. And he kind of turned to me and he said, Adam, that's great, but like, what do you want? What do you want? And I kind of said, well, I'd like to like really grow it and be the best at it, and my daddy told me if I'm gonna do something, I better be the best at
Yeah.
it, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he said, well, Adam, are you sure you want what it takes in order to be the best? Are you sure that you want that? Are you sure you know what that is? And I didn't really understand what he was saying to me at the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But now in hindsight, I kind of realized what he was trying to say to me at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was uh, you know, he said he kind of laid out to me what was truthfully the case of just, you know, you're running these big systems for online leads and you don't have any safety net for your business. If you don't have a system with touch points going back to your clients and you're not investing in those relationships and you're turning and burning, then you're at the whim of Google and Facebook. And if they change their algorithms at any point in time, you're screwed. And you don't realize that you've basically, you know, I guess, devised a business that you are not necessarily in control of, and you don't even realize it. And he said it to me in nicer words, but that's what he said to me. And
Can you put it in perspective? I hate to interrupt you.
sure.
For date, when are we talking that you had that conversation? Because do you remember at Masters he alluded to that to you directly from the stage?
Yeah,
How's
Bill,
that
like,
working? Sorry, I
sorry,
didn't mean
not
to. I
Bill.
want to hear the rest of this, but I
No,
didn't mean
no,
to interrupt.
Rich, like, kind of, like, totally threw the spotlight on me, and I was like, oh man, and like made me stand up. There's like a crowd of 1,000 people all like turn their
How do
heads at once.
how do you think I felt? How do you think I felt for 20 minutes up there? So feel my pain, but
I
go
was
ahead.
like, oh
I'm
man,
so interested in this. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, no,
I
so
just was trying to say, so what year are we talking about that he had this conversation with you? And were you coaching with him directly at that point, or were you with
not at
Bill
that
at the
point.
time?
Not at that point.
You
I
weren't coaching at all?
That was 2018. I went to his event.
2018. Got it.
2018, I went to his event. So this was 5 years ago. I went to his event and I spoke to him there, and I wasn't coaching yet. But then a full year happened, and my brokerage was running through the brokerage coach. Her name is Sandra, and she's like super awesome. She said, "I'm gonna run this Richard Robbins. Uh, it's like an academy. I can't remember what they called it, but it's a 6 week thing. Once a week, you come in for an hour, and we're gonna run through the videos and
Right.
like kind of like talk about what they're doing." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll sign up," and I signed up. And I went there with my former business partner Brandon. We sat there, and I remember one time they did like a listing presentation, and it was a video of Bill Parnaby doing a listing presentation for Richard and Sue.
I saw that.
And so I sat there and my head just exploded. I was
See
like,
that.
"Oh my God, that was amazing. That was so good." And it was wholesome, and it was like really just it was just good. It really resonated with me. And I said to the brokerage coach Sandra, I said, "Sandra, can you get me that presentation just digitally? Can you get that for me and send it to me?" And she said, "Let me see what I can do." Later that week, she sends it to me. She's like, I got it," and sends it to me. I then take that presentation and I revamp it, make it more digital, make it more, put some videos in there, put some, my spin on it.
Yeah.
But essentially, it was Bill's presentation. I started going out using it, and my conversion rates just shot up, and everything was going really great, and I was doing really well with it. And so I ended up at the next conference the next year in 2019,
Right.
and I'm sitting there listening, and then I turn my head and I see Bill standing there in the back, but I didn't know who it was, and I didn't know how I knew him, but I was like, I know that guy. Who is that guy? I know that guy. Because Bill never sits down. He's always standing in the back
Oh,
there.
he's always hanging around the back. Yeah.
So I kind of like elbowed my former business partner Brandon at the time. It's like, Brandon, it's that guy. It's that guy from the thing. I think that we stole his listing presentation. Come on, get up, come with me. And so I dragged him back there, and we ran back there, and I kind of did that thing I normally do again when I get all excited. I was like, "Bill, listen, like you don't know me, but I know you. Not to sound creepy or anything, but but
How did he respond? I'd love to know.
I
He was
said
probably great, wasn't
he was so cool. I said, like, I stole your listing presentation and revamped it, and I've had great success with it, and I just want to tell you thank you. And he was so cool. He was like, "I'm so glad that you found some value with that, and that you got some use case out of it, and that it helped you in your business." And that was the beginning, and we started chatting,
he? Yeah.
and we didn't stop chatting for about half an hour. And we told Bill all about what we're doing, and then he's like, "It sounds like you guys are doing maybe a bit of a turn and burn, a bit too much. Like, you're not reinvesting back into your clients. And, you've got a conveyor belt, you screw a light bulb in, the conveyor belt moves on forward, and that's it. Right? And I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me.
Still at that time.
But then, we continued chatting, and Storm, who had been trying to like pull us into the program for like 2 years maybe at that point, came over, and she saw us having this great conversation with Bill. And at that point, Brandon said, "All right, Storm, you want us? It's Bill or nobody." And she's just like, "You're saying that like he doesn't have a choice." And then I just kind of looked at Bill with these like puppy dog eyes. I'm like, "Please, Bill, can you coach us, please?" And then he said, "Yeah." So that was the beginning.
And
And
boy, what a transformation, eh?
well,
From what
yeah.
you were doing to
So then I ended up splitting off from my business partners. So we're no longer partners. I decided to do my own thing in 2021. And in the summer of 2021, started this on my own, and basically just took a knee and just said to Bill, "Bill, just tell me what to do. I'm all alone.
yeah.
I've got no help."
Yeah.
Thank God my girlfriend, who is my
Yeah,
creative
you're not
director,
quite all alone.
not quite all
No,
alone.
no,
She
no, but
she
pretty.
helped, but when it came to actually like performing in the
Yeah,
business, I
I'm
was
being facetious. Yes, go ahead.
no.
Yeah,
It's true that I wasn't alone. She
yeah.
really helped me. She encouraged me, and she
I
said
had a chat with her. I got to know her. She's super. Anyway, go ahead.
she's a great person, and
Oh, she's a lovely person.
she's brilliant when it comes to marketing. So she told me, she's like, "If you go on your own, if you decide to do this, I
Yeah,
will help you every step of the way. I will help you with all the creative, the branding, the marketing, whatever it is that you need," because she's an expert in that stuff. And I said, "Great, okay," but I was so nervous. I went on my own. I took a knee, and I just said, "Billy, just tell me what the
yeah,
goddamn to do." Like,
yeah.
I am so, I don't want to think anymore. It's exhausting. You just tell me. Like, the only questions I will ask is, if you tell me to jump, I'll ask how high, but that's it. And just tell me what the hell to do. And that's what I've been doing ever since. Is just every other week we meet up. I'd say, "What do I do? Here's what I've done, by the way. I did what you said 2 weeks ago. Tell me what to do now." And I take notes, and I get it done, and 2 weeks, and then rinse and
Why?
repeat.
We're brothers, man. I do the same thing with Braden. What do I need to do? And he's got the answers. Because Bill, we're so fortunate because Bill's active in the business and
Mm-hmm.
he's a Royal LePage guy,
Yeah.
which is great for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a proven track record. I got Braden, who's also a broker owner. So can you imagine all the things he shares amongst his people? He gives so much to them, but look what he gets back that he can share because he's in the business.
Yeah.
Like we're so fortunate. I
And
couldn't do it. I mean, with
you
Mac,
have to.
I'm 15K, and like with our coaching is regular, what, 10 grand? If you think about the monetary end of it,
Mm-hmm.
then I add Mac in, which is another 400, so 14, $15,000. Big deal, big deal. One deal, right? One transaction
It's
covers that, and the confidence that we have, we just exude the confidence. Like you right now, exude that confidence, don't you?
I think the value goes beyond even just the coaching, but also the relationships with.
No, that's what Dinesh said to me.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to meet him? You got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Have you interviewed him yet?
I haven't. He's a
Oh
great
boy.
dude.
So I got to interject for a moment, Adam, if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
mind.
yeah, of course.
So I'm in Toronto. I said that on stage. And I thought, I got to call him because I met him like I met you and him. Yes, because you were at the same table. There's my two favorite people right there. So I called Dinesh. He drives. I didn't know he was up in Goodwood, which is when we had our cottage in Peterborough. That's where it is. It's on the
I
way.
thought he's in Markham.
No, he's in Goodwood. That's the address that he lives at. So he said, "Yeah, I'll be there." I said, "I'm here in Toronto tomorrow. Can you got time?" So we sat outside. A little brisk. It was a little cool. It was an odd May day, but it was cool. But we sat outside and talked. I could not believe how brilliant this kid is. Like
Yeah,
he's a great, great guy.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, that's so there's a. But his point was when he talks to Tony Joe, his coach, who's quite close with Braden. They're both Remax guys. It's about cars and a variety of things, but it's a community that he says, just like you alluded to.
Yeah, and that's what
That's the
I
community,
that's what
right?
I started doing, is just reinvesting back into my people, and making sure that, I mean, my clients are hearing from me all the time, and I'm so in touch with them. I understand what's going on in their lives. I watch on Facebook to see what's happening in their lives, and I make sure that I'm tracking it. We have systems in place for everything. If I see that one of my clients had a baby,
Right
I
away.
yeah, I screenshot, I screenshot the post that I'm seeing and I send it to my assistant Sherry. And Sherry has a system already set up. We have pre-templated videos specifically for congratulations. We're sending you a gift card for Moosh Monkey, which is a place that we partnered with.
I know them. I know them.
Yeah, and they do great baby stuff that you can buy online, and I also give them a code. Vision Real Estate is like a coupon code for their site as well now that you can get 10% off for other families because other families know other young families. But we have systems for everything like that. So one of my clients had a heart attack. One of my clients had a heart attack. And again, screenshot, send it off to Sherry. Sherry, boom, right away knows edible arrangements for just because when you have a heart attack, I can't just like send them this is fruit, like I know that they can eat it and that they'll be good and whatever, and because I looked up like what can you have, what can't you have, right?
Yeah,
If you've just
yeah.
gone through a traumatic health
That's
incident.
huge.
So
Huge.
send that over with a card that specifically says, um, if for the guy with the biggest heart, no matter how it's working, whatever that kind of thing.
That's brilliant.
And I'm just constantly trying to reinvest back into my people. And now my business is 95% repeat and referral.
Yeah.
And I live a much better quality of life. And I'm not constantly putting out fires. And I'm much happier. So that's like my story in a nutshell. Sorry for rambling, everybody, but yeah.
I asked the question. I want to hear it. So the gentleman that had the heart attack, what age? I'm just curious. Was it an older person?
Oh
Was it?
yeah, he
Because
must.
a heart attack can happen any age. I'm just curious on the
Yeah,
age.
oh yeah, he must be like in his 70s, I would say.
Yeah. Same in my age group. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
but he's a great client of mine. He's referred me so many people, and
It's amazing.
he's just such a nice guy. And so we watch and we keep close eye on people, and we make sure that everyone's got what they need and they're taken care of.
Yeah.
Last year for the winter, I sent out everyone got a big bag of salt delivered on their
You do
doorstep.
that, eh? Yeah.
I couldn't do it this year because the company that I was using, they disappeared. They're done. And
Tara and Tom do it.
yeah,
So have you talked to them about that?
I was trying to find a company here that would deliver, and I couldn't find one this
Yeah,
year.
they still do it. Sherry Lawrence in my neighborhood works with Tina Forbes. That's her
Mm,
coach, and she does it too. And Tom and Tara helped her with that. I do windshield wiper fluid.
that's
That's
awesome.
what, yeah. And when I was at the superstore on the way home from Akita one night, it had it all outside, where you could just go grab a jug and
Hmm,
whatever. I
hmm.
took a picture of that, and just put it on a postcard, and sent that out, and it was amazing. And
That's
it's so many
awesome.
people call and they say to me, "I was ready to go and grab some out of the garage, and I didn't have any." Right? And it doesn't go bad. It
No.
doesn't go bad. I just like to know how to label it. Would be kind of nice. I just kind of stick our card on there, and I don't call them or anything. I just leave it on the steps, and always two jugs, right? Because most people have two cars.
And that you see
And that
that
works. It works just beautifully, and they're just shocked.
it's
No one,
awesome.
there's no secret to what we do,
No.
but how many do it? That's the question, right? How many people do what we're doing? And
And
our business reflects yours. Same.
and it is so much more fulfilling. It is so fulfilling. I mean, I wake up every day and I'm excited to go to work. And then on top of that, I learned a ton from Tom's story when it comes to marketing. I mean, that guy's a genius.
And
He's
he will
brilliant.
gives you anything. He'll give you
Anything,
anything.
anything.
He gave me a referral. And here's what was happening. It bugged me so much. The condo hadn't formed their corporation yet. So it was like 9 months. And I was trying to deal with the broker, who he knows. His name is Justin Concono, a name you might be familiar
I
with.
do
Do you
know
know
him.
Justin?
Yeah, I
Okay.
know him.
And Justin always tries to recruit. I said, Justin, stop trying to recruit me. I'm not interested in whatever. However, I just said, when's this going to happen? I got Tom on the line here. Don't pay me. Just pay Tom. I cannot, I just didn't know what was happening. And then sure enough, it did come together. But Tom will do anything for you.
He's the night, and
Is
so
a nice guy. And isn't he brilliant? Where does
he's
he come up with these
he
ideas?
came up with that video course at the height of the pandemic. So pandemic hit March 2020, April 2020, he comes out with this video course. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to do this, but I'm really going to do it. I'm really going
You were
to,
going to do it right after.
I was going to learn it and learn exactly what this guy's doing because clearly it's working. And after so much trial and error, learning how to do all the video stuff and learning how you can do it more simply and just like more, and not overcomplicate and not make it crazy. Look at look at this. This is like so simple, and I know that we're gonna get God knows how many clips and shorts and reels from it and whatever. And I just learned it all from him.
Yeah.
And so between the marketing stuff that I've learned from other members at RI like Steve Karash and Tom Story and Richard and just Bill and all these other people who do this stuff, and just learning from them, learning from you, learning from everybody who I met
Yeah.
through the program, not to mention the biweekly coaching that I get from Bill. Um, my business is completely transformed, and I've never been happier. And I travel more. We go to Costa Rica 3 months out of the year every year and work remotely, and it's great. And so that's my story. But I've been really curious about your story because you've been doing this twice as long as I have,
Right.
and you're like literally the most popular dude in the
Thank you.
industry. So
Thank you.
tell
So
me your
here,
story.
so so I start after owning a franchise. I had a franchise for 6 years, which I loved, and we just got a great. It was a weed man, the lawn care
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
one of those. It was great,
Okay.
good money, really good money. You work about 6 months of the year, and all the work's done by other people, so it was great. What was happening, you may be aware, the government was trying to ban pesticides, which
Mm.
and I understand. So we got out prior to that. A group came and bought all kinds of locations. So we got, and I didn't know. So I'm talking to a neighbor of mine, and he said to me, "You should try it, get involved." But I didn't have a good feel for real estate at that time. The dealings I had, except for the sale that we made in Kitchener to move to St. Thomas, that was smooth. That was pretty good. But I didn't really have a lot of. It didn't wasn't an industry I was interested in. But I joined the right broker, just like you did. I joined a great broker. So training was there, and then we went through that Buffini thing. We had Buffini, which was, I guess a good start. Braden always said it's a good way if you want to make 100,000. That's a great way to start. So I did that, and then I went to my first event in 2013. I'll never forget it at the Metro Convention Center. I'm thinking, who the hell is this Richard? Look at this guy. He's got a green room, goes in, gets makeup done. I thought it was great. So I talked to Keith Roy right after, and we had some communication. And then, as I said on stage, Jeremy and I met afterwards. Amy, I don't know if you know Jeremy at all. Do you know
Jeremy,
Amy Ott from
no,
Edmonton, an
no.
original coaching member going back 20 years ago, he and Ron
Mm.
Dixon. And I thought, these guys are the real deal. But I didn't jump into coaching until 2018. I was ready to go. And that was
Mm.
that. So numbers just exponentially just rose. So I would have been in probably the 120,000 area, 150 area. But for me, again, I didn't have major expenses like no mortgage. I didn't have to worry about that. I had a car that I owned. So I was able to, still show a profit. Then it just went 400, 500, and then it just went. But it got to a point where I wanted to have someone to succeed it, and I found that particular person. So I lucked out.
So
Very, very
tell
lucky.
me about that.
So
How?
here's how it was. 2019, we had met at that time, but I knew I was coming to that event. And I walk into White Oaks Mall, our major mall. I got my badge on. And a lady said to me, "We're thinking of selling our home in St. Thomas. Do you know such and such on Blairmont?" And I said, "Sure, I do." So it ended up, she said, "We'd like to look at a few things if you got time." So she just picked me because of my badge, and I was buying a briefcase for my son for his birthday. So I said to Alicia at that point, she did her first transaction with me in the summer. I said, "If these people buy something, okay, we're going to list their home." They did. She sold them a conditional property. We listed their home, and it was such a great, great relationship. On the way through coaching, I was just not giving her all my listings, but I was giving her a portion of the listings. And she was such a good person. And then when it came to the buying end of it, she just blew me away. She was way more patient than me, and it worked out. So last year we formed a full partnership. It was time to go, time to give her the full shot. So this year it ended up, Adam, the first 3 quarters of the year was generally my listings. I was questioning myself, is this the time to do that? Now the last quarter, it's all her. It's just amazing. So Rich always said, if you're partnering, it's not an easy situation, but don't keep score. And we didn't keep score. So some of the marketing costs I'm still absorbing, but we're going into next year. So her coach is Stephanie, who's um, Keith Roy's wife. That's her
Oh,
coach. So
okay.
she gets a really cool perspective. And then mine's Braden. Now, Braden suggested yesterday that Stephanie and he meet with both of us together because I want to get the financial aspect of it. I want to make sure that, she's paying her share in terms of the marketing part of it because I pretty well covered the costs this year.
But you're not getting out of the business. But
No,
is
no, no. Why would I? Why would I? Adam, I haven't got anything to do. Like, I could go to Florida if I wanted to, let's say, and lease a place. I know so many people there. I would never buy a place in Florida. I'm not interested in doing that. But anyway, I could do that and still do what you do remotely.
right.
And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. But why would I give up?
Cheers to that.
Why would I give up? I don't feel like I'm 71. I mean, I'm talking to you as a friend. I do not feel like I'm that age. I can still carry on, but I don't play golf with a whole bunch of guys. I'm a fairly loner kind of guy, maybe like you. Like I pretty one on my own.
I guess.
My
Yeah,
best
I kind of
friends,
am.
my friends are that many people, probably. And two of them are neighbors, older guys that are on my street that I always hang out with, right? One's a union foreman, and the other one was a custodian at high school. That was it. I mean, these aren't fancy guys, but they're solid as a rock. I really enjoy their company. So that's me.
But
But
she kind of just handles a lot of stuff for you.
everything. So, as I said on stage, I don't need to hear what people say they do. I watched what she did. And it's just, she sold insurance for TD on the phone. Now, tell me if that's easy.
No.
You knocked on $80,000, right? So, you know what that's like. And she was always number one. Then, when I met her parents, who I've known for now 5 years, she graduated number one in environmental science, master's degree at Western. Number one. I didn't know that. Her mom told me. And they invite her back often to talk at commencement. So that's how smart this person is. And I can trust her and rely on her. But she's superb and it bridges the gap between the senior market of mine and the young market of hers. Where we disagree on things, I'm still older and traditional. Nah, and millennials don't do that. So I let her run with it. And then I got a great tip from someone yesterday, a really, really good tip. And it was from Braden. He told me when Charlie Parker was his team leader, when he started, he said, let her go on her own because when we still travel together on CMAs together, all the clients in our database know her. He suggested let her go by herself because always the focus is coming back to me because I've known them for 15 years, 18 years, 12 years, whatever the case is. And I'm going to start doing that. Let her carry the ball on her own. We'll go
Wow.
from there. But we do our interviews together. Generally with buyers, we'll meet together. And then and then we'll kind of figure it out. We don't even, it's just a body thing. We look at each other. You take that one and I'll take this one. We can tell by where it's going to go. And then we go from there.
You just
But
jive.
yeah, so that's how it evolved. But I could not let her go. Now I've got a whole whack and load of jealous people sitting in our London office saying, why didn't I take advantage of that? I want to retire. I want to do this. Too late, folks. It's gone because I said to her, I know that person, that person, that person. They don't like doing open houses, do them. And she was selling their listings. Now you tell me. Hmm? Telling or picking up the clients from their listings coming to open houses and she ran with it. And from numbers down, how many new people do you know make 150?
Not many.
No, 150 consistently. Like she'll get award of excellence this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how it evolved for me.
So tell me, what are the biggest or most important business lessons that you've learned in your 2 decade long career, just in this industry, let alone other industries?
Stay in my own lane. Um, Adam, I only share this with you, and I've shared it with Alicia. I don't bother with many people in my office anymore because they're not doing what I do. They just don't. They know that I'm a Richard Robbins person. They know by the awards level. Like we're in the same awards level area, but they've always invited them. Like, do you want to? Because to me, their clients are their clients. I'm not really competing with I'm not trying to take their clients away. But none of them do that, and they just wallow along, and just don't. They just don't do it. So I find that staying in our own lane. Um, Lately, I've stayed off social media, and I'm really happy because you know what's happening now. Rich has always told us this: don't be publishing all those great awards. Don't be bragging about yourself, and all that's going to come about in the next month. You know that's going to happen, and I don't try to compete with other people, and I don't compare myself with other people.
It's funny that you say that because now I stopped doing the award thing last year when
Did you?
I was I don't know why. I was kind of down in the dumps last year a little bit.
What time of year was that?
It was around the event last year,
Yeah, me too.
and
I was frustrated, weren't you?
I was super frustrated, and I was down in the dumps, and I was
Yep,
not feeling good about myself.
me too.
And
You never called me to tell me, but that's okay. No, just
I mean, like
weren't you? I felt the same way.
you knew, and you were comforting me at a time when I was very much
Oh,
doubting myself.
last year at Members Day,
Yeah, yeah.
I felt the same way. I just wasn't fun, was it?
No,
It wasn't fun.
no,
The action wasn't there.
no.
It just was. It was dead. That last half of 22.
It
Right?
was so dead, and I was like,
I was
someone
a zombie.
someone just turned off the taps.
Yeah.
Something, and it was just the interest rates were going up by half, 75 bips. Sometimes, we had that 1% increase in July of that year, and it was just like, it was just terrible, and I was feeling really down in the dumps, and yeah, you you were like at my table, and you were like, hey, Adam's a cool guy. He's got some smart ideas. And I was like, whoa, Nelson, like, whoa,
There we go.
and that really gave me a bit more of affirmation that I needed at that time. But um, what was I saying? Why was I at the end of last year? Oh yeah, I
You were
stopped.
doubting yourself.
I
You're saying,
stopped. I
right?
stopped doing the awards thing. So I was talking to Bill, and Bill said, well, why are you even focused on it? Who cares, right? And I said, you know what, you're right. And he said, and then he confided in me, and he said, man, I actually stopped doing the awards thing for the last, I don't even know, like probably like 10 years.
Bill said that.
He said that.
Yeah.
And so then I said, like,
Doesn't
well,
accept them or doesn't publish them
yeah,
or
nothing.
he
And
doesn't care about them.
and so I said, what do I? He's like, why don't you just email Vivian? So that's what I did. I emailed my broker Vivian, and I said, can I just get taken off? Like, I don't want it. I don't want to be known. I don't want it to be put anywhere. I don't want my name anywhere. I just don't
Wow.
want it at all.
Wow.
And then she said, yeah, we can take you off the system. Is that
Yeah.
what you'd like? And I
Yeah.
said, yes, that's what I don't want to be focused on those things anymore.
Yeah.
I want to focus on one thing, which is being good to my people,
Yeah.
and just staying close and connected with my people. That's the only thing I care about. That's the only thing that makes me feel good.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't care. I know they're coming out, pretty soon. And I know people are going to be bragging about it. We have to wait for in our office till Chairman's Club's announced, which
Mm.
is I think of the 15th something. I thought, who cares? We got a really good guy in our office, and he's virtually taken himself off from all the communication of it. And he does a great job, really, really good job. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and with
I
social
never thought
media,
of that.
and with social media too, I post and ghost.
And she's a great broker, right?
Vivian was there in my time of need and had my back, and she got me this office, which I shoot everything in now, at a time when, like, what kind of wait list there is to get any office in that building? And I asked her for a huge favor, and she moved mountains for me, and she made it happen like that.
To get this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she would come in and sit in. She's been on my podcast twice. Her story is insane. I mean,
I heard that she's really something, eh?
she
Really.
was like a single mom of 3 kids, and she was like broke and lost her home. And this was like in the early 90s, and the market was dead, and she had nothing, and she was like really struggling financially, and she really didn't have any. She lost her home, and she really didn't have much. And then she built this, like an empire. She has like 16 offices across the GTA now, and
16.
yeah, she's got like, I don't even know, like 1,600 agents now, something crazy like this.
Is this her building? Does she own this building?
She's in there probably right now.
Is that her building? Does
She
she
owns
own it?
that building, and she owns this house. She's amazing.
I heard that. I just heard great things about her, right?
Yeah,
There's
her-
some of these,
she's amazing.
and look at this Mark Rashad. Like I've met him. Like have you done the joint where kickoffs at the beginning? No, you usually go
No.
on. I don't know if your office participates, but the group out of Oakville, and it's not all the Royal LePage offices. We've had Tom Cochran. I don't know if you remember Tom Cochran. I
He's
went
a
to high
cool
school
guy.
with him. I went to high school with him.
That's
Anyway, we've had Jan Arden, and they had Chris Voss, which was my favorite. But anyway,
Chris Voss.
yeah, Chris Voss.
I read his book.
Oh God, I've listened to his YouTube's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, this Mark Rashad starts in where Tara's involved. Starts in Coburg. Right out now, he's bought Cornwall. And have you met the pleasure of meeting Derek Bissonette? Have you met this guy?
No.
Another amazing guy, like you, amazing, amazing guy. And then he's bought part of Ottawa because there's two different brokers in Ottawa.
I heard Mark is an incredible musician.
Unbelievable. He does a Beatle rendition. So he's friends with he's friends with this guy, like Randy Bachman from Guess Who. He's friends with Jan Arden. He's friends with Tom Cochrane. And that's who, yeah, it's just phenomenal.
That's
Unbelievable,
so
right?
cool.
And I didn't know Tom Cochrane. You're younger than me, but his sister was my age and went to my high school, if you can believe it. Hmm?
Wow.
Yeah, going back. But anyway, that's so you look at the size of these offices. It's amazing. Eh? So we've got 4 in our community with 300 people. But Peter, our broker, also worked at head office. At that time, I believe it was Burlington, and now where's Phil Soper located? Don Mills somewhere?
Yeah.
Is it Les Mill or some street
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
something like that.
Have you
It's
met him? Have you met him?
oh, of course. Phil
Yeah.
Soper's a great guy.
Have you done a podcast with him yet? Have you invited him? Because he'll do it. He did it with Tom and Steve. You knew that, eh?
I would love to have Phil
Why
on,
don't you
and
ask him?
I should ask him. He's a brilliant man.
And isn't that's the, I mean, people can say, you come here, come to Remax, come here. There's no one better. There's no one better in the industry. But I do give Nick, I can't think of his last name, what I remember, the CEO of Remax, he's got a podcast with Rich. It's really good.
Yeah,
And guess what he talks about? The gold is in our database. That's
yeah.
what he said.
There,
Nick
there's
Bailey. Nick Bailey.
Nick
sorry.
Bailey, right? There's a few people who really like kind of get it. I think Vivian's for sure one of them, there's no question, and a lot of people that we know as well. But Phil Soper is just a brilliant mind. And by the way, he can throw down, man. Like if you've ever like partied anywhere even close to him, it's super fun.
He's a great guy. I've only met him at our awards,
Mm.
and that's it. But I've conversed a little bit with him on Facebook.
And
That's it.
have you met Carolyn Chang?
No, I've seen her before. The Chinese girl, correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is she a VP?
She's
She's the right hand girl to Phil. Is that the-
COO. She's a COO. And
Oh, is she?
yeah, and she is brilliant. Brilliant. If you ever get a chance to converse with Carolyn Chang, she's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. No,
She's really smart.
yeah. Phil's just a great guy, and his wife is a pretty high-powered attorney with a large law firm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, really, really. And again, he's just all the tracks. I haven't been on a trek, but we've got 2 people regularly on a trek, and my best female RI friend is Rochelle Arini. She's a Royal LePage girl from Hamilton, and she couldn't go on the trek for the first time because she was getting some sensations down her arm, like like static. I'm trying to think of the word, but she just couldn't go because her arms were just not relaxing. I don't know what it is, a nerve issue.
I
But
know a
she's
bunch of people who go on those treks. So Sean Zickelstein goes on those like all the time, and he's a buddy. But also, who did I see? Man, I can't believe it's eluding me. Diana, is it Diana? Diana, she's in Montreal. Oh my gosh, what's
Adam, I don't know her. I know Kelly. Kelly from Maya McIntyre is her name. Very outgoing
yes, I
girl.
know. Yeah, I know Kelly.
Do you know her?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
she
yes, yes.
goes all the time. Rochelle goes all the time. Ken Herbrick. I don't know if you know that name yet.
The O'Quinns.
Yeah,
The O'Quinns go too.
yeah.
Brandon.
And who else went this past? There's a guy named Jose Flores. Do you know him? He's from Calgary.
Don't know.
The funniest thing you'll ever see when they did Morocco. I think they were in Morocco when they did the Sahara Desert.
Mhm.
There's a picture of he and Phil in the same bed. It's really weird. No shirts on, and they're under the covers. It's really bizarre.
That's
eh?
so
I don't know if it was just an afternoon nap or something they were doing, or just did it for a gag. But that's what's going on, eh? But
Yeah,
but
Royal
no,
LePage
he's
is cool.
involved in all that kind of stuff.
Roy LePage is just it's a cool bro. I mean, I've been here my whole career. I haven't moved.
Me too. Isn't that funny that we both stay at the same place? Rochelle stays at the same place, and Rochelle's broker is unlike yours and mine. They're older group of guys. They called her one day for lunch. She kind of thought, well, kind of what do you want? But she stays because she likes the brand, and she likes the trek, and
And
has
Bill.
always been involved.
Bill's also a Roy LePager.
Yeah.
You know, and we got a few lifers that are like really in it. You know, and Tara and Tom, I think as well.
They've been with Royal LePage since day one. I think you wouldn't believe the market share in Belleville. 60% or something.
Yeah, they told me.
60. Isn't that blow you away?
I've never heard of something like that.
Ours is 33 in St. Thomas.
That's unheard of too.
That's massive. But you think about that. It's the credibility of Mark Rashad. That's why the rest are all, they don't even come close the way they
He's
do
a
that.
great. I've heard he's got an amazing recording studio in his house, like an incredible one. So I'm very. I'd love to go up there because I am going to Belleville this weekend to record at a different recording studio in Belleville. But
Why don't you call them? I've got their cell if you need it.
maybe I will go up a day early and just like go hang out maybe a little bit because that would be kind of cool. Um,
We always stop in on the way because my kids, as you know, live in Ottawa. So we'll take, excuse me, the 401 and sometimes Highway 7, pardon me. And we'll just always, we had lunch there this past year. Just gave them a call.
they're so cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you get to connect with Tom. They'll do anything for you.
When you meet cool people in the industry, I find that it also makes things happen a lot easier if you end up negotiating with the kids. A lot of people presuppose that a negotiation that is so high stakes like real estate where the numbers are just so massive that it would be something that's super adversarial, but actually it's not at all. And if it's done properly, it's always a win-win.
Hmm.
And I think that in my years of business, you can tell that the relationships that you build within the industry and getting to know other professionals who are doing, more volume, bigger deals, that kind of thing, they're so experienced and it makes things smoother and easier and they're not hard to deal with and they're understanding and good communicators and they're able to stake their claim or make their position known in a way that is non abrasive, it's not rude, it is just simply here's where we're at. Can we make something work? Where can we make a compromise happen? The negotiations they're civil, smooth, and right to the point. And I love it. And I love it's so easy. It's
It
so
is.
easy.
It is. Did she teach you that, Vivian? Did she tell you to? Because that's what our broker told us. Just work
No.
with every co-op broker. And the beauty of it, Adam, was we have a Thursday morning caravan, where we go to other people's, didn't matter what company, we go to their open houses
Oh, that's
just to
cool.
view and preview. Number one, it helps you price property, helps you do that.
Mm,
And secondly, you get to bridge and get to know the other cooperating broker. What a difference that makes.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
even heard of that.
Yeah, we do that. But I mean, it's a small town, right? 60,000 people.
Right.
It's easy to do. And then it's posted online what homes are open. So you always have between 10 and 12 and head out. That's what we
I
do.
didn't get much training from Vivian per se. I will say that my former business partner Brandon Wasser is my mentor when it comes to was my mentor when it came to real estate because I learned everything I know from that guy.
Is he, and how old is he? Do you mind if I ask?
I think he's a 3 or 4 years older than me. So he must be, I don't know, in his late 30s now, and he's an absolutely brilliant guy. I mean, I learned everything I know from him. He's super, super smart. If you have a chance to chat with him, you really should because
Is
he's
he on his own or does he still have the team?
no, he still has a team. He's still over there. They're still doing their thing
Still
there.
doing their thing.
And honestly, brilliant mind. Really, really smart guy. By the way, do you want any more of this?
No, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. This is fine. No, you go ahead.
No, no,
Talk up.
I'm good too. But this is this is cool to just like chat kind of industry to industry because normally I don't even have agents on. Normally I have like mortgage brokers or insurance people or whatever because I'm usually trying to gear something more to the consumer, I would say, with this podcast. But then I was thinking to myself and I was like, you know what? I had such a good time vibing with other industry leaders in the space a few weeks ago and I was like, I would love to have you on and just like shoot the shit for listeners who are in the industry because hey, they're listeners too and why not give them that feeling of I guess home within the industry because it does become a bit lonesome sometimes.
Yeah,
It can be a lonely job,
there's no question.
you
No
know?
question. However, we've got RI to help us there. I mean, there's always people you can reach out and talk to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also I've it's so funny because my girlfriend Dasha, I brought her for the first time. Her head basically just exploded.
Did she enjoy it?
She loved it, and she was like,
And I got to sit beside her. So I, jealous as you might be, I don't care. No, I got to talk, and then I got to talk to her at some of the breaks.
She's so smart.
Ukrainian girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Super, super.
Congratulations. That's wonderful, eh?
Yeah,
That's
she's
wonderful.
super smart, and when it comes to marketing branding, she's really a brilliant genius. And she was saying, she was like, this is, at first she said, this is super culty, and I was like, just wait, it's the best cult ever. And she and at the end she was like, best cult ever, this is great. And I was
She
like,
enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah.
She enjoyed.
We loved
That's
it.
wonderful.
We loved it. So
That's
we're all
wonderful.
in, man. We're
Yeah.
all in. We're in 110%. And you know, I mean, if anyone from the community is listening to this, maybe I'll post in the Facebook group just to be like, hey, man,
Whatever you want to do.
you
No,
know,
this is great for
yeah,
the invitation, but all I can say to you is that keep doing what you're doing. Are you investing as well in property? Have
yeah,
you been buying if you can?
I
Yeah.
have an investment
So
property. I have
what's your plan then? Like 50, you're done? 45? Like where are you?
so I have an
Have you got
investment.
time to answer this or?
Sure. Yeah, we have
Okay,
all the time. We can go for as long or as short as you want.
sure.
We're really no time limit here.
It's only 1:30 for God's sakes, right?
I'm happy to go for whatever you want, but
Sure. Do you want to do till 2? Do you want to do that?
yeah, we
You know
can
what?
even
And then what I might do is just start heading back, and if I have to listen to Rich from the car, I will. And then I avoid the traffic. Is
up to
that
you.
good with you?
Up to you,
Good,
whatever you want. We can
good.
even end earlier so that you're not rushing if
No,
because
no, that would
I
be,
know it is a 2 hour drive.
yeah, no, that'd be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So what's your life goal? Like, have you figured that? Have you done a 10-year plan, Adam? Have you done a 5 or 10-year plan?
I haven't. I'm in a weird position. I'm in a weird position because so I have an investment property. Dasha also has her own property. We're going to be this year window shopping in Costa Rica a little bit for some land.
Yes, I keep forgetting that that's in your radar too, right?
That's like we kind of have our eye there. But my weird thing is that I got into crypto so early and never sold and just kept going with it that I now have, kind of, yeah, yeah. So I'm like trying to navigate that, which is like, it's a good problem to have, but it's just weird. So I'm not like normal people in that sense, right? I have like this.
Congratulations. That is fantastic.
It's cool. It's cool. It comes with its own set of concerns, but it's definitely cool. And I don't really have a plan. Honestly, I love my job and I'm like
Yeah.
so happy to be doing this. And I have now Sherry is like, I gotta tell you, been the best thing that has ever happened to me in my career is Sherry.
Okay.
I mean,
And does she work here in the
she
building or?
totally remote.
Yeah.
She works from home. When I was interviewing her, I was like, "What do you want to do?" She said, "I want to work remote." I said, "Great, do whatever you want." She has complete freedom. I said, "Do this job however you want. I don't care. Like." She's like, "Sometimes I have trouble sleeping. I like to work at night. Do whatever you want, no problem." Like and I also gave Dasha as well complete creative freedom when she was making up my brand and all of my designs and stuff. So that was that. So I don't really have a plan. I'm very happy. We have our eye on a couple things, but that's about it. And we're
Yeah.
just kind of taking it day by day and trying to enjoy the journey. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So just play by ear. And you're how old right now?
I'm 34.
Yeah. So tons and tons of time.
Yeah.
Tons of time ahead of you. You know what goes, eh? I told Dasha, she was really surprised. I said, when I'm going to Israel, I'm going with Adam. You really are? And I said, yeah. But I thought driving in today, there's nothing going in, right? There's no flights going in.
Yeah, you can go.
So life is normal. Then
It's not quite normal.
but I'm saying that the commerce aspect of it is normal, right?
You can fly in.
Still fly in.
You can fly in. I wouldn't. Like, I'm not going.
No.
And I'm like fully Israeli. I speak Hebrew fluently.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm a full-on Israeli citizen, you
Yeah.
know. So, but I'm not going. And to be honest, I've spent so much time there. After high school, I spent a year there.
Did you?
I lived on a kibbutz, which is like a commune.
Yeah. I know where they are.
So I lived on one for a year when I was 18.
Wow.
And then I would
Wow.
go back and
Wow.
I would volunteer for like 3-month stints at a time
Yeah.
in my 20s. So I volunteered for a couple of months at a wildlife reserve in the desert where I was like taking care of like safari animals or carnivores, like hyenas or whatever it was. It was a huge reserve, and I did that, and I would just like volunteer and do stuff there, and kind of like travel and
Right.
whatnot. I went to
Right.
Jordan. I went to Egypt. I saw the pyramids. I would just like do stuff.
That's so cool. Because Ed Abdu, if you've met Ed, have you had the pleasure of
Yes,
meeting
yes,
Ed?
yes.
He's Egyptian.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's wow.
it's a
So
cool place, man.
it is a really, really cool place. Isn't that
Yeah.
something, eh? I went to Ryerson, which is now Toronto Metropolitan University.
Hmm.
Took 8 months off between semesters. Went to Chicago, hung out with my sister and family there. Anyway, I got back, so we were kind of off semester. In other words, so we were starting semester 4, but we were doing it in January per se. Or sorry, I mean, we were off, so there was a much smaller class. So I meet a fella named Elliot Kirschenbaum. Okay, he's a ski instructor actually, but he taught high school. He taught high school somewhere on the Danforth. I can't see what high school. And a couple of his players were actually now NBA players. So really, really good guy. And his dad was one that sold dental cards. When the old days, when you went to the dentist and used to fill out cards as opposed to doing it how they do it electronically now. But anyway, really still good friends with him. He's the same age as me. He lives in Unionville now, so I still keep in touch with him. But same thing. He's always said to me, if you want to come with me, I'll take you to Israel.
I
Same thing.
I have a whole nother life there. I have most of my family's there. I have a ton
Are
of friends
your
there.
parents there? Do they,
No, no, my parents are
are
here,
here, but
but
they do they travel there?
not so much anymore.
Not. Right.
It's hard on them. It's hard on them to
And
make
their
the trip.
ages are what?
I'm gonna get in trouble here now. My dad is 72, turning 73, and my mom is 69 or 68.
And is there brothers and sisters involved as well?
I
For
have
you?
I have two brothers and a sister.
Wow, that's big family.
Yeah.
Right? Big
But
family and
both my brothers are a year apart from me. So my older brother's a year older, my younger brother's a year younger, and my
wow.
sister is 8 years older than me.
So where was your first family home? Was it in Metro? Was it in GTA?
It was in Richmond Hill. It was in Richmond Hill. My
Richmond Hill.
first family home that I grew up in was like right here. It's Bayview and Rutherford kind of area, Bayview and between Major Mac kind of thing, and that was where I grew up. And I've always lived in Richmond Hill.
Right.
I love Richmond Hill. Richmond
Yeah.
Hill has been my kind of, I just it's been my stomping grounds forever, and I
Yeah.
love it. And I considered it's called making aliyahs, like when you move to Israel as a Jew, like you just kind of like pick up and you leave and you're
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And you have the right of return. You can just kind of
Yeah.
go whenever you want. Um, I thought about it a few times, and I never ended up pulling the trigger. And I'm glad that I didn't, because I just feel like it's just so much harder to build a career there and to make money and to like grow a
Yeah.
family and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's just so much harder.
We're in possibly one of the best places to earn a
Oh,
living.
it's
I mean,
so good.
we have no idea. When you compare,
Yeah.
when I watch what's going on and just see all that destruction and so on. I mean,
Or
total,
even other places, like when I've
like
been
Ukraine. Look at
backpacking,
Ukraine. Like, I mean,
horrible.
I picture this. You see an old farmer out in our area that's torn a shed down. You see the rubble like that. Ukraine, half the country looks like that. Can you? Where are they going to take this stuff and what do they do with it? Truckloads of old block of concrete and metal rods through it. Like, where? How do you rebuild that infrastructure?
I have no
It,
idea.
it doesn't makes no sense, does it?
No, and I'm very happy to be here because I mean I've backpacked all through Southeast Asia as well, and spend a lot of time in Central America, of course, as I do, and I've just seen the abject poverty around the world, and just think about how fortunate we are to live where we do.
There's no question.
So I'm very happy that we're here. Not that Israel is like abject poverty, it's not, but like it is much harder to make a living there.
Oh, I can.
Way harder.
Oh, I can believe it. But it's the only
Mhm.
democratic country in the whole Middle East. I mean, no. I mean,
Goes
right?
without question.
Yeah,
Without
there's no
question.
doubt about it. And then to see these protests going on, anti-Semitic, I don't understand it. I just don't understand. And some of the core root of it is coming out of the American universities, where they're not even condemning it any longer. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And we're not getting into the political end of it, but I just don't understand the
Nah,
support.
I mean, it's been uncomfortable for me as a Jew and as an Israeli for sure. I can tell you that much.
Oh,
It's been extremely,
same,
yeah,
same.
yeah.
And when I worked at Forest Hill Arena, I heard it.
Yeah.
because the staff were not Jewish people.
Yeah.
I just could never understand it. If you meet my wife, she has worked for through school. She guess where she went to university.
Where?
She got all the holidays, York University.
Oh,
She got
nice.
all the vacations. So
I went to York.
right, same thing. So anyway, just work for some of the best people. Um, I didn't mention prior to getting out of university, I was in the stereo business. Now, this might have been the tail end, but they had so many for you, and I'm not being condescending, but there were so many independent stereo stores like Majestic Sound, Warehouse, Ava Electronics, before the big block stores.
Before Radio Shack and kind of thing.
Before, yeah, but well, before Best Buy, and there was
Right.
another major one that Best Buy bought. I'm trying to think of the name, but anyway, the point is, they were all smaller, and they were all Jewish guys. All that industry was controlled by Jewish guys. So I was used to it, and you never thought any different. You never thought any different from that, right?
No, and it's just been very uncomfortable the last little bit. And
Yeah.
I
Are you
mean,
finding it now?
this is part of the thing of kind of posting and ghosting. And I think that, like, for business, as a business owner, it doesn't matter if you're in real estate or in any other business, you got to be on social media, you got to have presence. And what I've been doing is essentially doing the Joe Rogan post and ghost method, where basically I post, and then I know they say, oh, you got to interact with the comment section, this and this and that. I don't. I actually don't. It's very rare that I do now. I do sometimes on YouTube, but like very rare. And I just will post. We have a system set up so that reels get cut and posted on a timeline with scheduling, and I don't do any of it. I am the guy who will be in front of the camera and do the podcast with you, and drink the whiskey and schmooze and kiss babies and shake hands and kind of like be the front facing thing of it. But then everything after
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
just post and goes. I try to stay away from social media. In fact, I was so addicted to social media and it was making my life so miserable that I had to block myself out of it because I had no control. So what I did was I actually ended up buying an app because the iPhone's native block is not good enough. You can bypass it. So I actually ended up buying an app for $100 a year that blocks me out. So I give myself 15 minutes a day on social media, and that's it. After 15 minutes, it locks me out, and there's nothing I can do to
Yeah.
stop it.
I wish I could do the same because you can get addicted. I've been getting onto TikTok, but TikTok, I enjoy some of it though, Adam. I've learned things like
Mm,
mortgage brokers are on there. I like some of the things that realtors do on that, and I picked up. But there is some interesting items, but it can be really addicting.
yeah.
You have to get off. I'm avoiding it now because I don't want that comparison on awards. I don't want to see, any of that.
Well, that's what Bill once said to me. He said, "The comparative mind is the thief of your future."
Yes.
That's what he said to me. I'll never
Yeah.
forget that.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just trying to stay away from social media in that sense, but I think that doing these kinds of conversations that are like super organic. By the way, I've done 20 odd podcasts now, and that puts me actually, most people quit really quickly, but that actually puts me in the top 1% of podcast creators to even make it past episode 20. So I can tell you that just doing these, that this has been the most organic, chilled out conversation in a podcast that I've ever done in any
You and
podcast.
me.
You and me.
I don't even know these are running. Honest to God. I just want to talk to you.
Cheers to that, man.
I just wanted to talk to you. I am so honored. You have no idea when my wife read that letter. Now, I'm not going to get emotional. I got to stop. We're changing the subject. But I couldn't wait to come in. I thought this is fantastic for you to give me the time that we finally had time by ourselves to chat.
Oh man, this
But
is
I'm
the
learning a
best.
lot of stuff, and that's why I'm asking you. And you're finding out more about what I do
This
and
is this is
advice
what it's
that I
about.
can get from you and advice I get because I had the same blow away thing with Dinesh. I couldn't believe it. Guy jumps in the car that morning and drives 60K. No, that's not far for us. That's not a big deal. I just drove 200. I don't know what the hell it was to get here. No big deal, right?
But it's so cool to have these friendships within the industry, because at least then it's like you're hanging out with people who understand what you do on a day-to-day basis. They have the
Correct.
same struggles, the same obstacles, the same, and there's a camaraderie there that I think is really important.
Exactly. And we're both coached by the same, we're under the same umbrella where, it's lifetime referral system. We're all building on that. I can't relate to other realtors in most cases any longer. I just can't take the time.
Yeah.
And I got enough family stuff that I can do anyway and stay within my circle of friends, which is fine.
Yeah.
So everything is just coasting along great for me right now. I'm doing fine. And I've got a partner, finally got that partner situation. She's almost like a bit of a Sherry too, because we stopped. I stopped when I missed the driveway here and I circled around. I went past the Canadian Tire gas bar and then headed down. There's a street over here and I pulled over. Anyway, I called to her, said, post this on our listing. Let people know that, because I want to be forthcoming with every realtor calling, disclosure. I want to make sure they know that the owner of the property, the executor, is dealing with it, as well as we've got 2 offers, just so people know. It was there. Bang, she does all that kind of stuff for me.
It's
So
great.
I got a bit of an assistant, on top of that. But I never, isn't it funny? You go along and this was the first, we talked last night, the first time in close to a week that we really had any communication. So, we just keep right on motoring.
Well,
So it works out great.
I'm
Then I
really
told her I was doing this today. And she said, really? I said, yeah. Yeah, I'm heading into to see Adam. So it worked out.
well,
Right?
I'm really glad that you came in
Yeah.
and thank you
Yeah.
so much
So,
for doing that.
yeah. So we had a nice
Well,
hour.
yeah,
So you know what I
more.
might do? I might just, head back,
If
to
you
avoid the traffic.
if you
Thank you
want,
for the offer. And then you can get back to doing what you're doing. And I can, because Rich hates when we are in the car.
you hear that, Rich?
Yeah.
He's doing it for you, man.
Yeah, I'm doing it for you. But that's amazing that you had a chance. Because I never really met him until I became a coaching member. And it was one of the very first members' day that I went to. And I had a chance to meet him.
I'm kind of
And
shameless like that. I'll just run up to people and just be like, "You don't know me, but I know you, and I want to ask you this question."
I've done that with a few celebrities. You just kind of walk up and start chatting to them. But no, I just did. And now, of course, then he gave me a call. Calls me on my birthday, obviously. And this time I was at a J game, that afternoon, and we had a little chat on the way in, and that was that.
He's a
Yeah.
great guy.
Oh, he's a wonderful guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
The whole group is wonderful. Dana Richard's a cool guy. If you had a chance
Oh
to,
man, he's too smart. He's
he's
too smart.
really smart guy. Yeah.
He's too smart. Like
Yeah.
sometimes he'll say stuff to me, and I'm kind of just like, whoa. I think I need to step up my game a little bit before I'm ready to speak
Yeah.
to you because you're just like it's kind of like when you're speaking to Taylor Hack or something. Like the guy's just too smart.
What happened to Taylor Hack? I don't think he's a member any longer.
He's not.
What happened?
I don't know. I don't know.
I went to look in the portal, and because he and Tom were doing a great thing, Battle of the Spring or something. They were doing a couple things, and I got onto that particular podcast they were doing. It was really good. It was a Zoom, on by invitation. And now I don't know if there was a falling out. I don't want to get into that gossipy part of it, but
I
he's not a member anymore.
I don't
Eh?
know. I know he's not a member, but he's one of those guys that's like I'm always super grateful when I speak to him that
Me too.
he's willing to like zip up his human suit for me and kind of explain things to me in a dumbed down manner that I can understand because he's just so brilliant.
He's a really brilliant guy.
It's wild how smart
Really
he is.
brilliant guy. I bought his French bulldog died. It was only a young dog, and I bought a card. I haven't
No.
mailed it yet, but I thought I might see him. But he's not listed on the portal any longer. He's not doing anything with Tom,
I didn't know that.
unfortunately.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry to hear
but
that.
no, I don't know what he's just kind of dropped off now. Jeremy Amiot and Ron Dixon were Sotheby's partners. They had the franchise. And then I ran into Jeremy, and they're not working together any longer.
Mm,
Jeremy's gone off with a new thing called Real Broker. Have you ever heard of these guys? There's a
no.
lady in our office that jumped into this Real Broker thing, so I don't know.
I can tell you that there are a lot of people doing really interesting stuff, and keep an eye out for a podcast that I just shot yesterday that I won't be posting for a while, but I did it with Nathan Dart, and it's a
Oh,
yeah.
Christ. How did you snap him up? Where did you do it? Remotely?
I shamelessly texted him because again I did that thing where I'm like, Nathan, you don't know me, but I know you. And I did that and I basically said, listen, man, I'm really interested in what you're doing and I'd love to have you on for a podcast. So we just did an hour long podcast yesterday.
How was he?
I mean, the guy's just so smooth he's just such a smooth talker. It's just velvet. Like he just everything he says is just so nicely put in such a great way, and it's so packaged, and it's so tailored to fit, in just everything that he says is just so perfect. So I was I just kind of sat back and just let him do his thing basically, and
Oh
talk
yeah,
about the new final offer program that's coming, and I was asking him a lot about that. So that's coming out. So keep an eye out for that on my YouTube
okay,
channel, or if you listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it'll be
yeah.
on all of them.
Um, Not only him. If you do you know Mark Arnstein?
Yes, I do know Mark.
Listen to his podcast. Really good with Rich.
Yeah,
Nick Bailey's a good one. I haven't heard Tom and Tara's yet, and Bill just recently did one
I
with him.
listen to Bill's.
How was Bill's?
Dude,
I've got to listen to it before tomorrow because we're on our Mac call tomorrow.
dude,
So I want to be involved, eh?
dude, that one, oh man, that one's
He's pretty straightforward, eh? He doesn't monkey around. Hmm? I can't wait to hear that one. I'll listen.
Bill is an incredible human being. He's such a good person.
I know.
And
Can't wait to help. Hmm?
oh my God. And you know what, me and my girlfriend, we called him Billisms. He always has a Billism for everything. So it's like some kind of anecdote or something that, it's usually pastoral, I would say, of some kind. Like it's like very fatherly, usually involves some kind of farm animal because he's out in Caledon. And he'll just say something like, you know, we'll be talking about something, and he'll kind of boil it down into a single sentence and be like, well, Adam, sometimes you just gotta grab the bull by the horns and just hang on tight. Or he'll say, like one he did with me, I think it was a month ago. He goes, we were talking about something, and he said, she said, or something. I can't remember what it was, but he goes, Adam, no matter how thin you slice the cold cut, there's always two sides. And you just, it's kind of like this,
He's
like
got
Matthew
those.
McConaughey-esque kind of, thing that he does. And so they're Billisms, and he's always able to communicate things in such a simple, profound way.
Isn't
So
that interesting?
yeah,
Obviously, CFRB radio.
yeah.
You know him. Did you
Hmm.
know his dad was a reporter?
No, I didn't.
Have you ever heard of a reporter named Taylor Parnaby? That's his dad. I remember listening to it all the time because I grew up with and friends with a fellow named John Enright that worked for CFRB as well, and then he did some helicopter work with them too. Taylor Parnaby, that's his dad. Yeah, he was a
Wow.
radio announcer, did news for over 50 years with CFRB. I didn't know. I did. He reminded me. And that's
Well,
interesting.
definitely listen to the podcast with Rich, because he did a phenomenal job
I'll
there.
have a listen to that.
And thanks again so much for coming in. I really, really
My
appreciate
pleasure,
your
and thank
time.
you for the booze. What a difference! I've got an extra shot there.
Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button so this can be pushed out to more people like yourself. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a review and help us grow the channel. Thanks for coming in, Nelson. Appreciate it, man.
Can I say thank you to everyone?
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's your camera
Adam.
right there. That's
I'm
yours.
sorry,
That's mine. That's yours.
Adam. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. You know that. And so I'm going to head home, and we may talk right before you go away.
For sure.
But I can communicate. Your phone obviously still works. There is okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're all set. Well, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Okay.